Good morning, good afternoon, good everything, whenever you're watching this. I'm met with the director and founder of Swim Strong, and we're here today to talk to you guys about swimming and more importantly, water safety. I'm gonna turn it over to Shawn.
Hi, I'm Shawn Slevin, and I am the executive director and founder of Swim Strong Foundation, which started 16 years ago with a mission to reduce unintended drowning and water based accidents. For children under the age of 5, drowning is a leading cause of death. For children 14 years and younger, it's the second leading cause of death. And for children of color, they are drowning 3 times more in open water situations and 5 times more in pool situations than their Caucasian peers. This is a big deal.
It's a pool in a hotel, it's at the beach and getting pulled by an undertow. Living in a basement apartment when you're in Queens. Water is all around us and water isn't going away. It's coming closer and closer to us. And being safe in water and feeling comfortable in water and not fearing it is something that we all need to take part of.
Thus far, we've taught more than 10,000 people how to swim. We've given over $1 million worth of free swim lessons to families that have needed that help. We have taught more than 18,000 students our educational program called Know Before You Go, which addresses water in our daily lives across the seasons and wild weather events that we have due to climate change. And then we're also advocating to promote water safety within New York State schools as part of the curriculum.
I'm a New York City school teacher, and we have invited Swim Strong to be a part of our health classes in high school and also presentations in assemblies where you can learn about water without being in the pool.
Greetings, students. It's lovely to be here with your AP Weaver, who's such a strong advocate for water safety and aquatic skills and knowledge. And so some of you have met me previously when I was at the school delivering the presentation, but this is an opportunity to refresh for some of you and to get new information for others of you. So I'm delighted to be here. And as AP Weaver said, my name is Coach Shawn Slevin. I am the founder and executive director of Swim Strong Foundation. The purpose of this gathering is to help you understand water from a much broader point of view than what you may typically, which is thinking of it from a swimming and recreation. So we're going to address everything else: water within our homes, water every place that we need it out of doors, throughout the seasons, and even with climate action.
Swimming is being able to move yourself in the water. Doesn't matter how deep the water is, but being able to maneuver around and feel comfortable in the water is really what it comes down to being able to swim without being able to touch the bottom. And I know for some of you, that's very scary. It's very scary to think about, well, I can't touch the bottom. How can I swim? Well, if you're worried about touching the bottom, that's not swimming.
That's called walking.
That's called walking. Being able to swim means being able to maneuver in the water.
This way,
Yes,
fingers this way, not this way.
yes. And one of the things I always say is that swimming is the closest we will ever get to flying. That's right. It's the closest you can control how you go up, down, left, right. Yeah, it's the closest we'll ever get to flying ourselves, being able to control ourselves in the space that we're in.
This just into our newsroom. Tragedy in Rockaway, Queens. 2 swimmers died at 2 different locations. A 16-year-old girl drowned near beach 108th Street on Rockaway Beach, and a man died after being swept in rip currents near beach 98th Street. 3 other people were rescued this evening in the Rockaways. Video from Chopper 2 shows how rough the water was earlier this evening.
First of all, you always want to go to a place that is safe and is a designated swimming area. because that means that the whole area is not only lifeguarded, but it's also been prepared for safe swimming. In other words, there's nothing under the surface of the water that's going to trip you up, or a hole, or a huge immovable object that maybe you can't see from the surface. So safe designated is important. The lifeguard is critical, always with a buddy. Because if something happens to me, and it can, even if I just catch water and I start sputtering, I can't get the attention of the lifeguard, but my buddy can. Okay, so that buddy is really critical. And flotation devices, I do want to spend just a moment on that. What am I talking about as I refer to flotation devices? I'm talking about those things that we can blow up and we can put on our arms. Sometimes they call them angel wings. I call them floaty things. If you can blow something up, it can deflate. And the problem is young children become very dependent upon wearing those devices, thinking that they're safe. And if suddenly they pop, or just the stopper comes out and it deflates, imagine the panic that that child is going to feel suddenly being dropped into the water without the support. And maybe even more importantly, parent tends to assume that there's a safety element here and may not be watching that child as closely. So that's really a recipe for disaster. Please, please, please throw them out. They are so bad for everybody. They're toys. They're not safety implements. The only thing you should be wearing as a safety implement is a lifeguard certified life jacket. Okay, that's safe. Anything else, not safe.
So these are some of the safety tips, especially when it comes to being at the pool. Look at that last one. Don't chew gum or eat while you swim.
Why?
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 Why? Why? Why?
So what can happen with when chewing that gum or any kind of, now you're taking that breath, and that gum can go shoot right to the back of your throat.
Or just eating while you're in the pool. It's probably not a good idea. Look before you jump. Don't dive into shallow water.
You know, and I'll share that my vision is not all that great in a lot of ways, not just my short or long sightedness, but when I look at the water, I can't see some things that other people can see. I'll give you, for instance, some people will say, well, coach, when I look down the pool, it's darker water. So I believe that's deeper water. And when I look here closer to me, we're standing at the shallow end and I can see more. And that's generally true, that darker water is, I can't see that. I don't see that differentiation.
No! 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 No!
So I need data. I need to see those depth markers, which are telling me how many feet of water I'm standing by on the outside of the pool, so that when I get into the water, I know exactly where I'm going to be. And if I need to be standing, that I'm standing in a place where I'm comfortable to do that. Yes, we're going outside. We're going outside now to natural water, right? Sometimes it's referred to as open water. And we're now thinking of ourselves at a lake and a pond. Who can tell me from a visual point of view, what's the most obvious difference looking at natural water from a pool, a chlorinated pool water? Okay, so for those of you that said, I can't see the bottom, high five, you're completely correct. Exactly. And that's why we always go in feet first. We walk into natural water because we cannot see the bottom. It's murkier, it's darker water. Also in lakes in particular and ponds, there's a lot of fauna in the water, and those can trap you I myself was a lifeguard with 28 saves under my belt, a very strong competitive swimmer. I remember the first time, and I worked on a lake, so I have a lot of experience in this regard. I swam across the lake as part of my workout before I went to swim practice. And all of a sudden, I caught myself in a tall grass. And I was startled, very startled. I wasn't expecting that. And so not only was I startled, but the feel of it was all slimy and cold. And so I started to try to back away from it, get away from it. But I created a problem for myself because in my kind of panic around this, it seemed like the weeds were grabbing me tighter and tighter. It wasn't that. It was me. It was me not being calm and relaxed about it. So once I caught my breath and I realized what was happening, I was able to back out slowly and then, continue on my journey. Staying calm is how we start a survival of any issue. So calmness is really important.
Right. Just stay calm. Stay calm and think. I can float. I'll just float on my back.
Well, I enjoy a water park. I'm sure many of you do too. So I'm going to ask you to think back to the last time you were at a water park. And one of the things that I appreciate about a water park is the ability to actually borrow a life jacket. If I don't have swimming skills, or I'm just not even feeling 100% today, I'm not feeling my strength today, I'm going to borrow a life jacket and wear it throughout the different slides and events, that I'm participating in.
Hello everyone, Zippy the lifeguard here at Wet n Wild Water World to give you 5 water park safety tips. Water can be fun, but it can also be dangerous. Follow these tips to stay safe around the water.
Number 1, never swim alone. Always use the buddy system. Get permission from an adult before entering the pool, and make sure an adult is always with you.
Rule number 2, look for the lifeguard and listen to what they say.
Lifeguards are trained in water safety so they can help keep swimmers safe. Lifeguards wear whistles, fanny packs, and carry big rescue tubes. Can you point to the lifeguard at this pool? Great job.
If you see someone in trouble, don't go in after them. Instead, call a lifeguard for help. Number 3, read water park safety signs.
Every water slide has a safety sign. Read the signs to make sure you are tall enough to go on the ride. Water parks have lots of different pools. Look for how deep each pool is to make sure you can stand up in the pool, and never dive in shallow water. Always slide feet first and do not wear shoes on water slide.
We all like to have fun at the water park, but remember, do not run around the park. You could slip, fall, and possibly hurt yourself. If you don't know how to swim, use a Coast Guard approved life vest.
Pool toys and floaties are fun, but they are not life-saving devices. Can you point out the correct life vest? That's right, choose a life vest that is Coast Guard approved. Number 5, wear waterproof sunscreen that has at least 30 SPF.
It's always sunny here at Wet n Wild. Be sure to always wear sunscreen and reapply every 2 hours. Remember to drink lots of water and stay hydrated throughout the day.
Let's review our top 5 park safety rules. 1, never swim alone. 2, look for a lifeguard. 3, read the safety signs. 4, wear a life vest. 5, wear sunscreen and drink water.
All right, so I'm going to share a little story, just as AP Weaver shared. So I think I told you I was a lifeguard. I was a very strong competitive swimmer. I was a lifeguard, 28 saves under my belt. So very experienced and very senior. When I was living on this lake, did a lot of sailing, small boat sailing. And oftentimes I would go out with a friend. And I'm ashamed to say this, but most times I would not be wearing my life jacket. Because after all, I was the lifeguard. I was the skilled swimmer. All that in a bag of chips. One day, the weather was not really the best, but we decided we were going to take the boat out anyway. And I said to my friend, maybe we should bring the jackets just in case, because it's this weather is really changeable. And so we wore our jackets. And I'm so glad that I did, because what happened is the wind picked up and the boom, which is what the sail hangs from, swung around unexpectedly, and it caught me at the back of the head, and it knocked me unconscious off the boat. And I landed face down in the water. And if you remember from a previous slide, it only takes 2 minutes and 2 inches for any of us to drown, whether we're children or adults. Had I not had the jacket on, my friend would not have been able to grab me. He was able to grab the jacket, the back of the jacket, and pull me onto the boat. I wouldn't be here today otherwise. Always wear my life jacket, always.
Green flag indicates conditions are calm and to swim with care. Yellow flag indicates calm to moderate conditions to remind swimmers to stay alert. Red flag indicates conditions are determined to be dangerous due to the presence of strong wind, strong current, or large surf. Purple flag indicates a potential presence of venomous marine life such as jellyfish, man-o-war, stingrays, or others.
That often means surfing. It's a surfing area. And again, you don't want to swim in a surfing area. The surfers cannot always control their boards as well as they might like to, because they're on a wave, okay? And the wave is stronger than they are. So stay out of a surfing area.
This is a qualifier test, phase 1 in a series of steps required to become a lifeguard in New York City. From an eye exam to a short swim, good vision, and making it across 50 yards in 45 seconds or under is a pass to become part of the team that will oversee public safety once pools and beaches open for this 2023 season.
Fun job over the summer.
Warner Geffard is a high school student hoping to pass phase 1 and move into the city's lifeguard school, where qualifiers complete a 16-week lifeguard training program.
It's the winter right now, okay, but we have to think forward.
The New York City Department of Parks and Recreation First Deputy Commissioner Iris Rodriguez-Rosa says the city is actively recruiting after the national lifeguard shortage last year played out here at home.
We've been actively recruiting. We've been going to schools, to swim teams. We've been doing digital media.
Students are typically good candidates for these part-time jobs. The American Lifeguard Association said there was a shortage of trained lifeguards for years, and it was intensified by the pandemic because of shutdowns and even a backlog in visa processing for international seasonal workers.
Last year, we were able to open up all our beaches and all our pools. Yes, we had to, minimize it.
Still, some of the 14 miles of beaches and some of the more than 50 pools in New York City saw reduced hours last year. There was an estimated 1,000 lifeguards. City officials are recruiting to bring in many more, they say, for this season.
My mom thought it would be a good fit for me, and I like swimming.
About 200 people have already passed phase 1, the city says, and returning lifeguards will re-examine in the spring. There are currently more opportunities to try. You can visit the NYC Parks website for details. Stephanie Bertini, Fox 5 News.
I know on Rockaways, a lot of students, they get their driver's license alongside the time that they're getting their
lifeguard certs, you're right.
Lifeguard certification to be a beach lifeguard. 16, 17 years old, having a full-time job down on the beach, watching over people and watching over people's lives, that really shakes up your responsibility. So learning how to swim now will help make sure you get a job.
Wonderful, wonderful job. I did it for many years. And as I said, saved 28 people. That was the physical saves before even probably hundreds of people prevented a problem where I would have to go in and actually do the save. Really always want to watch the water. Think about this. If you're out in the water and you feel you need some help, really, what is the best way to get the attention of the lifeguard?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
If you said wave for help, you're correct. Because the lifeguard can't really hear you screaming. Okay. They're up in their chair. It's windy. It's noisy on the beach because people are enjoying themselves. There's the noise of the waves crashing on the beach. They have very limited hearing, but their vision, because they're always scanning the water, they see this, they're going to come. They're going to know that you need help. And again, that's why your buddy is so, so critical, because you may not be able to even wave. Your buddy can get the attention of a lifeguard or perhaps somebody who's nearby that might be able to help you.
And we are here in the town of Hempstead to help people stop the drownings. Rip currents are like a funnel perpendicular to the shoreline that literally sucks the swimmer away from the beach. Fighting the rip by trying to swim against it, swimming towards the shore, which of course is a very, very natural instinct, but that's exactly the opposite thing to do. The best way to beat the grip of the rip is to swim parallel to the shore, parallel to the shoreline until you're out of the force of the rip current, and then you can swim back to shore. If you can't escape the current, float or simply tread water. Eventually, that rip current will bring you right back to the shore. Never swim in areas, obviously, that are not patrolled by lifeguards. Lifeguards are literally your lifeline. Don't take it upon yourself to swim outside the colored flag areas or in areas where there are very few people or no people around. You are just setting yourself up for difficulties. If you're not feeling well or if you're not sure about your swimming skills, don't go in the water. The ocean, we have to all respect it. There are natural tides, there are natural rips all the time. And no one who is a casual swimmer, or even worse, a person who doesn't know how to swim, they should have no business going into the ocean.
Here's my story. So I told you, Coach Shawn, very competitive swimmer, very strong, top lifeguard, working at lakes for many, many years. I find myself down at the Rockaways. It had been a long time since I had been in the ocean water. And I thought, let me just find a place that's a calm spot where I can re-enter and kind of feel my way back into the ocean. Now, here again, I was by myself. I'm breaking all the rules. Okay, because after all, I'm the lifeguard and all that in a bag of chips. I don't need any help, right? Not so right. So I find a spot that looks pretty much like this. I start walking into the water. I don't even get to my knees where I'm knocked off my feet and I'm swept out. What do you think the first thing Coach Shawn does? Panics. Pure, unadulterated panic. Didn't expect it, didn't, was totally outside of anything I was thinking about. So when I calmed down, I understood what I was in. I was able to work my way eventually out, but it took me, I was 2 miles down the beach before I was able to get out of this. 2 miles. It's a
That's 40
long
blocks. That's 40 blocks. 1 mile equals 20 city blocks. 2 miles is 40 blocks
Think
down.
of that, guys. Think of that. 40 blocks away. And I was crawling out of the water and I was exhausted, just exhausted, laying on the sand, throwing everything up because I swallowed a lot. I was a hot mess.
Were there any lifeguards on the beach that day?
That's why I tell you, I broke all the rules. Not only did I not have my buddy, I was not in a lifeguarded area because I am the lifeguard. Arrogant was I. So full of myself and my skills, my top skills. I was strong. I was highly skilled, but I was still not strong enough for Mother Nature. Sandbars are natural, but they are created by the tide and the current. And that means they are broken by the tide and the current too. They're not fixed objects. So to think that you're going to go onto a sandbar to be safe is not a good plan.
Family and friends are mourning the deaths of two 13-year-old boys who drowned early Friday morning in Jamaica Bay.
And now the father of one of those children is questioning why school officials did not alert him sooner that his son wasn't in class that day. He spoke with CBS 2's Astrid Martinez.
Every time I'm by myself, I go in the house, it's like, can't handle it, you know, it's just crazy.
Fighting back tears, Brith Prasad gathers the strength to share stories of his son Daniel Prasad.
13 years old, one amazing kid, I got no complaint. This kid gave us, that's the fourth time that he ever make an incident like that and cost his life.
Described as shy and happy, Daniel was looking forward to summer. On Friday, his father says he decided to skip class and go to the beach with friends in Queens. Police say Daniel and his best friend, 13-year-old Ryan Wong, were standing on a sandbar when they suddenly became submerged in the water. Daniel didn't know how to swim. Brith was mourning his son when he received a recorded message from the school that his son was not in class.
They just pronounced that he is absent from school at 7 in the afternoon, which I was so way out of the league, because if there was calls at 10 in the morning, I could have saved my son alive that day.
Because you have a track?
I have a track on his phone, and I could have picked up exactly where he had, called him, pick him up.
The family wonders if that message came in sooner, could Daniel's death have been prevented?
After further investigation, it was found that the school did contact the parents at 10 and at 7 by robocall. This was just a sad accident that could have been prevented.
Because every year somebody loses their life to drowning.
We're not saying never go to the water. We love the water, but we're also respectful and we understand and we make a decision based on the risk that we are aware of. And the first decision is to be able to go home again. So that means it may not be a good day for me in the water. A beautiful day outside does not mean a beautiful day in the water. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what can you do if you find yourself in trouble in the water. So first of all, the best deterrent is not to go in the water. If you're really not feeling strong and you really are not knowing the circumstance that you're going to put yourself into. If though you judge that the risk is acceptable and that you know your limits and you know where you're going to be safe, and you go in and you start to enjoy yourself, but suddenly you get tired, you get cold, whatever it is, you're not feeling 100% anymore. Now, what can I do so I can get out of the water safely? Number one, stay calm. Calm is the critical aspect. If I can stay calm, I can think about what my plan is going to be. Right? If I panic, that leads to exhaustion, that leads to drowning. Right, so stay calm. Look around you. Is there anybody that's nearby that you can ask for help? Even if they can't help you directly, they may be able to get the attention of the lifeguard, okay, who will be able to come and help you. It's always helpful to get onto your back and float. When you're on your back, you're breathing, okay? You have natural access to air, so you're breathing, and that also helps to keep you calm. Remember, most likely, if you're in the ocean, it's salt water, so it helps your buoyancy. You're going to float. Stay on your back, floating on your back, breathe, breathe, breathe. Occasionally kind of get up a little bit so you can see if the lifeguard is coming, or maybe you can wave a little bit, make sure they're still seeing you, they're tracking to you, but then get back on your back and continue to float, right? Again, just underscoring, having that buddy with you, critical, being in a safe designated place with that lifeguard, critical. And of course, ultimately, the more skills and strength you have, the better chance you have for coming out safely. So what you're seeing in the top left picture here, or the left picture here, that black group of rocks, that's called a groin. And they are big boulders that the Army Corps of Engineers are putting into the water. They go straight out. And the purpose of them is to reduce the storm surge. So as you know, particularly in the Rockaways, because it's a peninsula, oftentimes when it's a heavy storm, the ocean water meets the bay water. Everything's covered and flooding. So they're trying this way to reduce that activity. The challenge is they're pretty tempting when you look at them to think, oh, I could take a walk out on these because they're big boulders. So there's plenty of places to walk. Challenge is that slippery when wet and slippery even when not wet. Because what happens here is that the sea life, little creatures, attach themselves to the rocks. And those little marine creatures have oils, secretions, we call it. And even when it looks dry, you can slide off because of the little marine animals, slip into the water off the groin. And this groin creates what we call a washing machine effect. The waves coming in are so strong around the groins, it's like being sucked into the rocks. So you can get badly beaten up on the rocks, very badly injured. Do not go out on those rocks because you will more often than not find yourself in the water and really getting hurt.
So fall is hurricane season. If you're not a strong swimmer, don't go in.
Dear Tim and Moby, what are hurricanes and where do they come from? From Josh. Good question, Josh. A hurricane is a type of tropical cyclone, a large swirling storm with strong winds and lots of rain. Tropical cyclones form over the warmest parts of the ocean. They start when warm water heats the air right above it. That makes the air less dense, so it rises. Cooler air rushes in to fill the space left by the rising air molecules, and the process continues. The ocean heats the air, it rises, and more air rushes in. This is what weather reports refer to as a low-pressure system. It's sort of like a big vacuum, sucking up air from all around it. Good question. The cool air wants to travel in a straight line, but the spinning of the Earth curves its path. The high winds kick up the ocean, causing big waves and rough seas. Meanwhile, in the center, warm air continues to rise, adding more and more energy to the system. The warm air carries water vapor with it, which condenses into clouds and rain. As the system grows stronger, the low-pressure center becomes a well-defined eye. Even though the strongest winds happen right around it, it's always calm, sometimes even sunny inside the eye. The storm is now a tropical depression, a massive system of wind rotating around a column of low-pressure air. Well, winds move the storm across the sea, and as long as it's over warm water, it just gets stronger and stronger. Once the winds reach 74 miles per hour, it's officially a Category 1 hurricane. The strongest hurricanes are Category 5, with winds over 157 miles per hour. In other parts of the world, hurricanes are called different things, like typhoons and cyclonic storms, but they're all basically the same thing. Right, I was getting to that. Hurricanes start to run out of steam when they hit colder waters or land. They end in a big old downpour. But before they're through, they can cause serious damage. The wind can rip up trees, destroy crops and houses, and push giant waves called storm surges onto shore. That can lead to heavy flooding, which is never a good thing. Unfortunately, we can't stop these storms from hitting land, but we can be prepared. In the Atlantic, hurricanes form from June through November. During this hurricane season, weather scientists called meteorologists keep a close eye on the ocean for signs of tropical depressions. Using satellite imagery, they monitor the progress of these storms. Once a storm gets strong enough, meteorologists give it a person's name. That makes it easier to communicate with other scientists and the public about this particular storm. Meanwhile, computer simulations predict what the storm's path might be. It's an inexact science, but the predictions help everyone prepare. If you live somewhere that a hurricane might hit, the National Weather Service will issue a hurricane watch for your area 2 days in advance. Once it's known for sure what the storm's path will be, a hurricane warning is issued 36 hours in advance. Watches and warnings give everyone plenty of time to get ready. Well, your family can get together and make a storm plan. Agree on a place to meet if you get separated during the storm, and write down any phone numbers you may need. Put together disaster kits with things like food and water, a battery-operated radio, a flashlight, and any medicines you might need. Be sure your family has a plan for evacuation in case it comes to that. And don't forget to include your pets in your evacuation plans. Some public shelters don't allow animals, so find out in advance what the rules are. Unless you're ordered to evacuate, it's best to stay inside your home during a hurricane. It may look like an ordinary rainstorm out there, but the winds can quickly gust up and knock down trees, electric lines, and other dangerous stuff. You may have to turn off your home's power, but you can keep up with the news on your radio. The last time we rode out a hurricane, we played board games by lantern light. Oh yeah, storms can leave behind all kinds of dangerous stuff. So make sure your parents say it's okay to go outside afterward. When you do go out, don't mess around with fallen trees and puddles. If there's a downed power line nearby, they could be really dangerous.
A flash flooding siege in the Northeast. States of emergency in New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. Multiple deaths reported as the remnants of Ida merged with the front to produce chaos. For the first time in recorded history, the National Weather Service issuing a flash flood emergency for all 5 boroughs of New York City. More than 7 inches of rain in just a few hours. The Western Hemisphere's busiest subway system shut down. Waterfalls pouring down station stairs, trains pulling in to find platforms submerged. People wading through waist-high water. Above ground, stranded cars and water rescues everywhere.
FDNY members rescuing someone who has been trapped in that Jeep for now well over an hour.
Our New York station, WABC, right there, as a man was finally brought to safety. And in Queens, a partial building collapse, at least 2 people killed. And at Newark Airport in New Jersey, the wettest day ever recorded. Flooding taking over baggage claim terminals, hundreds of flights canceled.
And listen to this. You have to see this video again from 6 ABC in Philadelphia. Over the Schuylkill River, just because the rain has pulled away does not mean that the flooding is going to stop. That river expected to hit a record high in the next 48 hours. We will see more flooding, especially along rivers here in the Northeast. We had more than 8 inches of rain widespread happen in just 2 to 3 hours. Y'all, that is called flash flooding. It is receding now quickly behind me as we speak. But unfortunately, behind it, we will see debris. And I think the question we now will have is, how do we live sustainably? How do we make permeable roads? How do we live in this new extreme reality?
Because now our infrastructure, our 125-year-old sewer mains are not large enough to accommodate these sudden bursts and powerful bursts of rain that happened with Ida. And so we have to now worry not just about the water coming down, but also the water rising up and into our basements. That's why it's so important. Again, tell your parents, listen for the weather reports. If they talk about a mega storm coming, then if you're in a low-lying area like a basement apartment, go and visit a neighbor, a friend. Rent a hotel room that's up Okay, you can replace a piece of furniture. You cannot replace a life.
And then you could see the punch of the Arctic air coming right towards the city Friday at around 6 o'clock, and then crosses. And during that crossing, temperatures could drop 20 to 30 degrees, 40 degrees in 6 hours, and there could be a flash freeze. As for ending the snow, don't think so. The modeling is suggesting, again, a warm intrusion. The European model keeps us, again, there's the Arctic front, wet, dries it out, the cold air lifts out with the moisture. That's the European. The GFS may give us a little bit of snow, especially north and west. The amount of rain in the hopper is varying, 1.5 to 3 inches in spots. We'll generalize there, but don't generalize on the coastal flood watch. Significant. That's the possibility. The moon is at perigee. That means closest to the earth. It's a new moon. Late Thursday night and Friday night is the watch. Okay, look at this temperature drop. This is a flash freeze. 55 to 31 to 21. In 6 hours, you can see the temps just absolutely plummet. And again,
I'll say when I was a child, okay, which is longer, many more years than you guys were around the planet. I remember being able to walk on ponds and lakes. I used to skate on lakes, and the ice pack was quite thick. And the temperature back then was very cold. Our winters were really cold. We had a lot of snow. And so this was pretty typical for us. But in the last couple of years, our winters have warmed up. Not just the summer that's gotten hot, even our winters are warming up. So the actual ice, the thickness is much thinner, has become thinner and thinner and thinner. And so if you take a look at this schedule here, you can see where somebody's falling in less than 4 inches of ice, that person is in the water. Okay. At 5 to 7 inches of ice, it can support at 12 to 15 inches, it can support a small truck. Okay, so you have to be very careful and very mindful. If you fall into ice water, it's going to be so cold, it will knock the breath out of you. That water is freezing, okay? So it's going to knock the breath out of you. And what do you think is the first thing that's going to happen? Panic, okay? Panic, guaranteed panic. So you need to calm down. You'll have about 10 minutes to work yourself out so that you're safe in the hypothermia, which means that your body doesn't get into cold shock, affects you. You want to turn around and face back the way you came, because you know the ice was strong enough to support you until a certain point when it wasn't. So you want to face back that way, and you're going to try to get up by putting your elbows up onto the ice. Elbow, elbow, kicking your feet so that you become parallel to the ice. Keep kicking, keep moving your elbows, elbow, elbow, belly, and then knees and knees. And then once you're fully out of the water, you roll, don't stand up, roll back to the shore, and then stand up and run and try to get as warm as you possibly can. Okay? That's the thing that's important, but stay calm, stay calm. We just always want to have eyes on our family members, particularly younger children, all the time, anywhere, in, on, or near water. Okay. It's so important because things can happen so quickly, so quickly. We want to make sure that we're really watching and we can intervene if we have to.
And being able to be seen is one of the biggest ways to be able to get help the fastest way possible. They'll be able to see my swimming trunks from long ways away. I want to be able to get myself as much help as possible and as quickly as possible when bad things happen.
Well, I hope you've learned many new things today. I hope you walk away with understanding that we don't want you to fear the water, but we do want you to respect it. We want you to enjoy being in the water because there's no better place to be, but it has to be in a safe way. and in a way that makes us as safe as possible in that environment. A great day outside of the water does not make for a great day in the water. So we just need to know before we go.